salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Once again, want to welcome everybody. Share the live. So we want a lot of people to benefit from a very special guest and a special sit down. We see a lot of lives nowadays, people talk about stupid stuff. You know, it's driving me crazy. Stupid kids doing foolish things and everybody loves it and they share it. But when you talk about something that's serious and beneficial and needed, people don't pay attention to it. But for us, we don't care about views, we don't care about likes, we don't care. We want to spread the message, yes, and that's what we wanted to get out. But we don't do things for that reason. Because in the end, we have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the responsibilities we have to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to stick up for our brothers and sisters who are oppressed, or those brothers and sisters that are in places where their voice is not heard. I know a lot of people nowadays, they just want a platform to make money or to get popular. So they'll go out there and do the most foolish, ridiculous things, and everybody will share, like, oh, look at this person doing this stupid thing. Why do I need to see them doing something stupid? All right, it's stupid, let them go. But when it's something beneficial, nobody wants to talk about it because people don't want to see it. So today, inshallah, we're going to be speaking about the prison system here in the United Kingdom, and a lot of our brothers and sisters, many of them which are Muslim, that are caught up in that system and they have no voice. People have muffled them and tried to forget about them. And many of us as Muslims are not concerned about them because it's not going to bring you views, or you're worried about getting cancelled, or you're worried your visa is going to get, whatever happens, happens. Allah is our protector, Allah is our wali. If tomorrow I'm denied entry into any country, it's all right. Allah's got a big earth, I'll go somewhere else, and I'm not worried about it. So today I really want to bring this subject of brothers and sisters who are in that oppression. I know, like, our brothers and sisters in Gaza are suffering, and wallahi we feel their pain, and wallahi we make dua for them, and whatever we can do to help them, we help them. And we don't want to mock that or belittle that in any which way. Or our brothers and sisters in China, and our brothers and sisters in India, in Kashmir, our brothers and sisters in Sudan and other areas that are struggling, that are going through hardships. Wallahi, we feel their pain, we love them, we make dua for them, we are there for them. Ameen. But there are also brothers and sisters struggling right where we live. In the United States, we recently had a Muslim brother who was executed for a crime that he continuously denied that he committed. In fact, our brother Marcus, I believe his name was, even the prosecutor, now imagine, not the defense attorney, the prosecutor said that DNA evidence showed that he didn't do it. And still they executed him. And subhanAllah, his last words, as we saw, he wrote out, it is whatever Allah wills, and all praises to Allah. He stayed on the deen. He wasn't Muslim when he went into prison, but he became Muslim in prison. He changed his life, he did good, but they still executed him. Why? The color of his skin, the religion he followed, whatever it may be. But if the prosecutor is saying that this man is innocent, how do you execute a man like that, right? So it's something interesting. But that is an oppression going on in our own countries, in the United States and in the UK. So today, we're going to take some questions. So inshallah, share the live, put your questions on TikTok. We have also live on Mubashirun page, OMF, or what is it? The Glad Tidings podcast. So if you're on TikTok, check out the Glad Tidings podcast. On OMF, we're live as well. And we're going to take questions. So I want you guys interactive, but I want there to be at least 200, 300 people live before we start taking questions, inshallah. So share the lives. 350, all right. I want at least 500 live before we start taking questions. Because again, this is very important. So please, if you're watching this, not for me and not for OMF, but for the sake of those Muslims that are in prisons, who are unable to raise their voice, for their sake, I want you to share this live, post it on your social media, and we're going to take questions. We have a very special guest. I'm going to introduce him very briefly. It's our brother Yousef, Dwayne Patterson, right?
Yeah, that's correct, Sheikh.
I just call you Yousef now, so I don't want to mess up your name.
Yes, can, please.
But he is somebody that we have some articles online. He was called the toughest prisoner in the United Kingdom, and he did 27 years in prison here, 7 of those in solitary
confinement. Yes.
7 years in the shoe. That is some tough time. And I'll tell you this. I mean, I met the brother, and he is one of the nicest, mashallah, best mannered brothers I've met in my life. And I'm saying this without any hesitation. And the brother, mashallah, he's changed his life. He was not Muslim when he went into prison, right? Before going into prison.
I was.
You were
but
Muslim?
Not the first time.
Oh, the first time.
Twice.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 2 occasions.
Right.
I can explain that.
We'll let him explain his story. But the key that I do want everybody to share the life for is that he is somebody who's done that much time in prison and changed himself, and he's really working hard on bringing the stories of those people that are behind bars. And we're going to talk about our brother Chaos, and we're going to talk about other people and getting that to the forefront. So share the live, and we're going to let you ask questions of the brother as well, inshallah. So we want to get people's questions. Our brothers here that are moderating can check the questions, inshallah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, little history, little background, inshallah.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
And
assalam wa
thank you
rahmatullah.
very much, Sheikh, for allowing me on this platform as well. And may Allah raise your status. Let me talk about my situation. So once I was placed into solitary confinement, for about the first 2 years, I was under what they would call a mufti unlock. So this is 7 officers on full PPE. That's protective gear. So that's the helmets, the shields. I would be on what they call a double ratchet. So that means not only would I be double handcuffed, but I'd also be handcuffed onto the officer as well. At no time can I leave my cell without 7 officers and a dog and a dog handler. They had me on one of the highest unlocks, so that meant that I had to earn everything. That means even reading materials, a pen, toothbrush. I weren't allowed my footwear. I had clothing 2 sizes smaller. And I posed this question to one of the guys from the Home Office that was a military man, and he basically said to me this. He said, the reasons why they do this is to break your spirit. Is a military tactic that they use. So it became very alarming. A lot of the things that they done, especially with me as well, they said that I was very toxic. They said I was too influential. So they even kept, one thing that you like to do when you're in solitary confinement is to always have a neighbor. They didn't even allow me that opportunity for the couple of years because they said that I could influence someone else. So they kept me separated even from those that were separated from mainstream. It was very barbaric because the officers were designed, they were like the SAS, like the special forces of officers. So they had no compassion, they're there to fight. And so this is what the brother Marcus Johnson, Abdul Rahim Chaos, is going through right now. Now the excuses, we've been talking about his situation and it's building momentum. It's building momentum. But what they've actually done now is accused him saying that, oh, we believe that he might hold extremist views, which doesn't make sense. They've never accused him out of the 20, I think he's been in prison for now 20 years, 22 years. He's never been accused of actually being an extremist. But all of a sudden now that we're mentioning his plights, that they're saying that, oh, we've got concerns that he might be. So this is justifying his treatment. So from 2004 till now, we're in 2024. This brother has been kept in harsh conditions.
20 years.
Yes.
SubhanAllah.
He needs our help. This is totally unacceptable.
He's on the phone, he's happy as...
Yeah, alhamdulillah. And this is the power of the brother's character as well. Because even though he's going through this level of suppression, oppression, and depression, he still has a smile on his face. There's another brother also by the name of Kevin Fakra. He's been in solitary confinement for 14 years now. So there's lots of other brothers that have gone through that process, and we make dua for them because some of the brothers have become majnoon, and now they're in mental institutions. So these are things that need to be highlighted. These are issues that need to be discussed.
I wanted to touch on a few things. We can only get 2 people at a time on the camera because of the YouTube, I think it's just portrait mode, right? So I'll let Yousef come back. I just wanted to touch on a few things that I think is very important regarding Muslims in prison. One thing, we sometimes don't mention is that a lot of these people in prison, Muslims, they turn Muslim in prison.
Yeah.
So when someone takes the Shahada, all their sins are forgiven. Do you understand what I mean?
Of course.
So this is something, you know, we shouldn't overlook. So not everyone, and I'm talking about a lot of new Muslims, you know, who got guidance in there. And some of the things I wanted to quickly touch on was that a lot of people on the outside don't know. Within prison, they have banned Islamic books.
Subhanallah.
You know, books like, you know, the lives of the prophets.
Why would they ban a
This
book
is-
that's so benign like the
You
life
know,
of the prophets? I
Life
mean,
of the prophets. They've banned the tafsir of Ibn Kathir.
wow.
There's a blanket ban on that. You can't get that in any prison now. And I've heard now they've started to even ban certain Arabic books to learn Arabic from.
Wow.
So
But that makes no sense because like Tafsir ibn Kathir, for example, is a standard used across the board.
everyone, yeah.
Life of the prophets is just by, you know, just talking about that. It's not an extreme book. It's not a radicalized. It's not a Wahhabi book as people like to label. You know, it's just such a strange thing. I had a book by Ibn Taymiyyah, and we were trying to send it to a prison in the U.S. And the response was, we don't allow Wahhabi books. And the funny thing is that Ibn Taymiyyah is, what, 400, 500, 600 years before Muhammad al-Wahhab was even born, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it just cracks me up how ignorant these kinds of things are. But why would they ban such commonly used? I mean, you could go to any library in the UK and pick up Ibn Kathir or pick up Lives of the Prophets, right?
So what happens now, think about this logically now. So you ban these type of books, and in prison, let's say you do have one guy who's an extremist. You've opened the door now for him to promote his
Radicalized,
dawah,
yeah, that's true.
because you have nothing to refute that with. So I'm thinking, is that actually the plan to radicalize people, to get them radicalized? You understand? So with our brother Abdul Rahim, Marcus, his situation is this: he was a street guy. This is nothing, we can't deny this. You know, people in prison, you know, sometimes they've done stuff, and you know,
Roadman.
road guy. There was nothing extremist about him. You understand? But obviously he had some iman, and in prison, you know, he just said, you know, as Muslims, this is one of the things that he used to say, from what I understand, that he's told the brothers that, you know, we shouldn't sell drugs.
That's a good thing.
Good thing, you know?
That makes sense.
And things like that. So what they have done is kind of like use that and say, oh, you are too influential.
I don't understand that. So if a Muslim, he became Muslim in prison, right?
I'm not sure exactly
Something
when,
like
yeah,
that.
something like that. Yeah.
But originally he's not a Muslim, so he's a
Yeah,
revert.
revert, yeah.
Somebody who changed his life and then is influencing people in a good way that they shouldn't sell drugs in prison,
Exactly,
should
yeah.
be encouraged.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, unless the prison system wants drugs in the prison system, that doesn't make sense to me, right?
So there's one, for example, now his solicitor has received a 50-page document, which I have access to, about the reasons why they have him in such harsh conditions. And you know, you read this whole document, you know what it says stuff like? He tries to speak Arabic on the phone.
Oh
You
no,
know, it's like crazy, like, you know,
speaking Arabic,
understand what I mean?
whoa.
And it's real like crazy type of stuff. And so what they have done now, they've put him in such like severe conditions, you know. I'll give you an example, one incident what happened to him. They've put him into general population. There were some Muslim brothers selling spice. Spice is illegal, is illegal now. It used to be a legal high, but now it's illegal.
What is
It's
it
a
like?
synthetic drug, basically,
Okay.
without going into details. So some Muslims were selling drugs on the wing. He said, yo, we're Muslims, we shouldn't do that.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I would do that.
So the brothers stopped selling the drugs.
Alhamdulillah.
The system said, no, you have too much influence, and took him back into solitary conditions.
So they want them to sell spice?
The issue with him is exactly that. This is what they said. They said every wing that he goes on, like, is all about Islam.
Okay, and?
But that's the...
No, imagine if he was Christian, right?
Exactly.
Imagine if he was evangelizing, he'd be a hero.
Exactly,
They would
yeah.
be giving him less time, right?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, this is such a funny thing because when I was caught up in that kind of lifestyle, the MA, they were very staunch believers in Christianity, whether it was through the Catholic system or Protestant. And they would, every Mexican gang member had a cross tattooed on them, had, you know, most of them would have Mary or Jesus or something religious tattooed on them. They would go to church, but it didn't really change them. It didn't make them better, right?
Yeah.
But if one of them did leave that lifestyle and become more active in the prison church, his sentence would get reduced. He would get parole easier, right? Some of them would fake it to get parole. So now if you have somebody who was a roadman, who was a gangster, who was a street man, and he left that life, and he's influencing people to stop selling drugs, you should encourage that.
Yeah, 100%. But Sheikh, if you look at even the case of Yousef, for example, they put him in solitary confinement for 7 years for very similar reasons. You know, like this type of silly accusations.
7 years in the hole is difficult.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So now he's out of prison, and he's now going to prisons to speak to prisoners about reform.
Alhamdulillah.
So this shows, and people, this is what people do not understand. Some of these people who are working in these institutions are just not qualified people. It's not law enforcement per se. It's slightly different in the UK. I think America's more. Yeah. So
prison guards
these lot could just write something, or he's a radical and stuff like that, and that's it. And because there's no
checks
one
and balances
overlooking them. So like I said, they had the brother in Yousef in solitary confinement for 7 years, and then now he's going to prisons to talk about reform. So where does it make sense? Where was the crossover? You understand? So even from my personal experiences, so when I was in prison, obviously I wasn't practicing. So we were, getting up to no good, selling certain substances and stuff like that. And then one day, as I've told the brothers before, someone gave me a book, or there was a book in the cell. I can't remember where it came from. It was Ibn Qayyim's The Characteristics of the Hypocrites.
Subhanallah.
You know the book?
Yeah.
It's a small book. It's translated to English. I read the book, and when I read the book, it just did something to me. Even though I was still, jahil. Yeah. So on our particular wing, I said to the brothers, look, we should at least try to pray.
Subhanallah.
So on the association, which is like free time outside your cell, we would establish whatever prayers we can. So if it's Maghrib or if it's Dhuhr, Asr, we would pray on the wing. Remember now, bear in mind, we have been doing stupidness for years now, and they've not really bothered us. So when they saw that, they called us into the office and they said, yo, you got to stop this.
The prayer?
The prayer. They said, you cannot do this on the wing.
So when you're selling drugs, that was okay?
That was fine, yeah. And I was like, what? Yeah. And they were like, no, you can't do this. We can't allow you to do this. And it was looked at such a threat. And when the people in the wing saw us establishing Salah, some brothers took the Shahada when they saw that, discipline. And they was like, hell no, you're not doing this. So what they did then, they called the imam, and they always get imams from certain backgrounds, which I'm not going to say.
Sellouts.
Yeah,
Goofies.
So they were even trying to get the imams help in dealing with us. But and in the end they banned the prayer in congregation on the wing.
SubhanAllah. And those imams that are working for the system didn't object.
You find the odd one that will try to help you, but some of them, because they're part of the system kind of sort of thing. So they banned the salah on the wing and things like that, and they actually start putting that tag on people. Extremism, because you're praying 5 times a day and things like that.
See, but this is another thing that's driving me crazy, is this, even from amongst Muslims, right? From others we expected, from amongst Muslims, when you just live by Islam, they want to label you, right? This is a Wahhabi, this is an extremist, this is that. And the funny thing is that we are just living by Islam. We're not doing anything strange or anything like that. And they keep trying to label us with things like this. Why? I mean, when somebody's praying, somebody's fasting, they're improving themselves and they're improving the community around them.
I'm going to be honest with you. I do believe, people who are not Muslim are jealous of Islam.
Yeah.
I believe that. There's a jealousy when they see that, discipline, that unity and things like that. And one thing I want to touch on before I let, give the mic back to Yousef is that when this situation with Abdul Rahim Chaos, it was brought to me, I'm very close with someone who's close with his mother. So someone who, sees his mother, he's a very close friend of mine. So he asked me, can I address this issue online? Because the treatment was getting horrendous, to a point. So I said, no problem, I'll address it. And I have nothing to gain from this, because like I said, social media is a whole different world. It's a big platform. So what I did was, and this is what really disappointed me, I reached out to a number of influencers. Not going to say who, Muslim influencers. I explained the situation. I said his mother has asked me, or asked us, can you please make people aware of what's happening to my son? Wallahi, some of the guys never even replied back. And they got huge Islamic platforms. But I was like, if tomorrow Drake went and done something crazy in Canada, they're going to make a video. Guess what Drake did? On an Islamic platform.
In a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat. Just for views.
I mean, even right now. But I do want to go back to Brother Yousef's story. So being an altar boy, coming from somebody who's reading biblical path, because we have a lot of non-Muslims that watch, what made you, the belief aspect of it, of course looking at mannerisms, one thing, why did you choose the Islamic faith over, for example, getting more involved with the Christian faith?
Because it made many sense. There was a lot of things as well. One thing that my family always taught me as well is never to allow yourself to become ignorant, have a lack of knowledge. And it was also, so one of the, I think one of the difficulties was whether to understand that whether Jesus is the Son of God, or was he God, or was he a prophet of God?
Yeah.
And it was something that changed my perspective, is what it said actually in the Bible. It said this, that the rabbis and the Pharisees wanted to kill Jesus, but they were afraid because the people saw him as the prophet of God.
Yeah.
So what does that show then? That shows that the people of his times didn't see him as the Son of God or didn't see him as God. They saw him as a prophet. So then why are we saying that he's then why are we then saying that he's the Son of God? It doesn't make any sense. So for me, that was kind of clear evidence.
Even in the Bible, Jesus himself, he says, it's not befitting for a prophet to die outside of Jerusalem.
100%.
That I have to travel. So he calls himself a prophet.
That's right.
And when he asks his disciples, what do they say? They say, some said you're John the Baptist. Some said, he said, but what do you say? They said, we believe you are the Messiah of God, not God, right? So it's very interesting that repeatedly in the Bible, Jesus is called a prophet.
100%.
And you know what's very interesting? I don't know if you guys know this. Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of America, did not believe in the Trinity. I was just reading about his writings, and he actually wrote his own Bible, where he cut out all the shirk stuff and the Trinity stuff, and he made his own Bible. You can go Google this. And Thomas Jefferson, he wrote to John Adams, another founding father, and he said, Jesus is not God, nor is he the Son of God. But you know, this is heresy that people have brought. And he talked about the Nicene Creed and how it was wrong and so on. And that's one of the founding fathers of America. He was a Unitarian. He did not believe in the Trinity, and it's well documented. But people don't realize that. To me, myself, I grew up going to church. I didn't grow up going to masjid. But it didn't make sense. This whole idea of God being a man and man being God and God also being the son of man and then God not being the son of man. You know, just Islam was such a beautiful, simple, clear belief.
Someone's asked a question. Bro, you can ask a question as well. How many different versions of the Bible are there? Do you know?
Numerous, to be honest. How many different canons are there? How many different versions? I mean, I'm not talking about translation, because some people then say, oh, you know, translations. But if you look at, for example, the Ethiopian Bible, it has 88 books that are not in the King James or the standard, the 1611 standard, right? So that's a whole different number of books. If you look at the Catholic Bible, if you look at the Greek Orthodox Bible, then even amongst the Protestants, you know, even the Mormons have not just the Book of Mormon, but Joseph Smith made his own translation, added notes, and took things out from the Bible. Thomas Jefferson had his own Bible, you know, like different chapters and so on. So anyway, inshallah, I know we've been having this amazing conversation, but we're going to wrap it up for the live on YouTube. We'll keep on the TikToks if you want to continue. Check out the,
Type it in there.
what is it, live?
Right on there, inshallah. You gotta type it.
We're going to type it. Inshallah, we want to continue. But before we end, I just want Brother Yousef, for the YouTube audience, to give one short message for the world to hear, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you. Jazak Allah Khair. I'd just like to say to the brothers as well and sisters, because please, we all know that paradise is underneath. and they give birth. Haven't you ever realized, and don't we understand as Muslims now as well, that what has happened? What's happened to us? We used to give birth to real men. What is happening to us now as Muslims? Why are we sparing a thought for our brothers and sisters that are being suppressed, oppressed and depressed within the criminal justice system? Why are we ignoring their cries? Are you brave enough? Are you braver than us on the day of Qiyamah that you'd want to answer these questions? So it's the spare a thought, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
You're going to stay on here, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, guys, listen, yeah? Share the live, innit? And ask questions.
Just come off it.
Why do we pray istikhara